I'm about community, learning, discussion, respect, integrity, truth, science, and discovery. Welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. Hello and welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. I'm your friendly neighborhood ghost hunter, Justin Brown, and we are on episode 34, I believe. We're going to be talking about pets and the paranormal. Do dogs, cats, any kind of pet detect paranormal phenomena, the presence of spirits? Can they sense a haunting? Can they sense a negative entity? All those questions I will answer, and hopefully we'll get the opinions of all the viewers and people in the comments. So welcome once again to the show. We're going to bring over the girls, see if they're ready to rock. Are you guys ready to talk about pets and ghosts and spirits?
I'm ready.
Does Onyx act weird sometimes?
Oh yeah.
What about your dog, Jess? Do you think it detects ghosts? Senses them?
There's been a few times that, staring at the wall and stuff. And like we've talked before, it's a lot of it's when Josh is gone. So I just think maybe he's more on high alert. I don't know.
Yes, we're going to be talking about that. So are you ready?
Absolutely.
All right. So if you don't know the drill, if you want to ask me a question at any point during the show, you can comment. The girls will get to you, and we will address the questions. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves and start a discussion about the topic or anything you would like, as long as it's tasteful and classy. And share the live stream. Share the love. Help me get this show out there and help promote it as much as possible. So that would be great. This was very close on the polls. I think the other one was curses. And this topic won by 2. And it was the most voted on topic out of all the polls I've had for the show. And I think the reason why is because the show is getting a little bit more popular. There's more people tuning in and voting on it. Or there might be more people following the page. I don't know. That's my guess. But you will see articles on the social media platforms that you frequent. Every once in a while, you'll see that there's been scientific studies that suggest that animals can have more senses than humans when it comes to light, sound, and smell. And a lot of psychics and metaphysicists also speculate that they have empathic abilities as well, but we really can't measure that. The articles that I've read that they can do studies on is their sense of smell, their sight, and their hearing. Now, dogs are known to have a broader spectrum of what they can hear. They can hear a higher pitch sound than we can, hence dog whistles. You blow the dog whistle, we can't hear, but they can. So that will allow you to, wonder if they can hear things that we cannot hear. Of course they can, but are they ghosts? We have no idea. We don't have the luxury of saying, hey, Fido, are you seeing a ghost right now? It'll wag its tail, it'll bark, it'll look at you funny, turn its head, and that's all you get. No matter how close you think you are or how good you think you are at understanding your pet or animal, there's just no way to know. So it makes for a great, discussion piece on the show. I have spoken to many people that we would investigate their house and their residences and their businesses, say that they believe their pets are sensing the spirits that they believe are there. The last residential case that I was on was interesting because she would tell me that she would have to shoo away the cats that she could not see before her other cats would come over to the feeding bowl to eat. And she says she has to do this or they will not go over there. And that's very strange. I did not witness this, but there was no reason for her to make that up or lie to me. So that is what she was doing. And I have psychics that I work with that tell me on occasion that they are picking up the spirits or, entities that are cats and dogs. So you begin to wonder then, are there cat ghosts out there? Are there dog ghosts out there? And are there ghosts that are being sensed by your pets? I'm going to say it's possible, but do not get ahead of yourself. You want to understand that since they can smell things extraordinarily well, see things extraordinarily well in some cases, like the night vision of cats are really, really good, and the sense of smell and hearing especially. They're going to be hearing scratching in the walls that you can't hear. They're going to be smelling the presence of other animals and rodents that you do not know is there. They could see a bug that you don't see, anything like that, right? So if they're staring at the wall, staring at a door, barking, attentively just staring at it for no apparent reason, you can't just automatically assume that it's a ghost. Even if you're experiencing alleged paranormal activity in your home, there's just no way to know. So I think it's a good idea to not automatically assume that they are. Now, of course, there's going to be occasions where you see something paranormal and they see something paranormal at the same time and they react to it. Now, I think that's different. I think you can approach that differently. You can question what it is, but it's definitely something that you're both seeing, and you can tell that it's seeing it too. So you want to be able to try to make sure that what they're picking up on is something paranormal. So you can kind of, if you're really, really curious, you can, have an exterminator come in, make sure that there's no rodents run through your wall, something didn't die or something that didn't get in, like a raccoon or a mouse or anything like that. Sometimes dogs will be walked up and down your street and your dog will know that, but you don't. And it'll bark at the front door. And it may seem like it's barking at the front door at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. every night. And that's when your neighbor walks the dog. And they're smelling the dog and they're barking at it because they're territorial. So that could be a reason. And until you investigate those things, you won't know. So even further, you can see and realize that investigators will take their pets on the investigations they go on to see if they can pick up on things. And I think this is where you really need to be careful too, because if your dog's not trained to do something, you really don't know what they're picking up on. If they exhibit signs of picking up on something, you can't tell what they're seeing or hearing or smelling. So here we are. There's articles that I've read that they can see, cats and sometimes dogs can see in different spectrums of light. That is true, I believe, definitely. But that doesn't mean that they're seeing ghosts. We have no proof knowing that if ghosts are emitting or reflecting light in a different spectrum. So, that's a jump. But I think if humans can have a special sense or ability, so can animals. And there's a varying spectrum that exists in humans and other species of life forms on the earth. There's this thing that I talk about sometimes called Cry4. It's a cryptochrome protein in the eye that scientists are just now starting to speculate and think that they find supporting evidence that birds and insects use Cry4 cryptochromes in their eyes to detect the magnetic field lines of the Earth for navigation. And I have a theory that suggests that Cry4 does exist in the human eye, and proteins and the levels of the proteins in Cry4 especially go up and down during the day. So that would possibly explain why some people see an anomaly, because the magnetic field lines show up as like a gray shadowy manifestation. So that could be what people are seeing at times. Some people might have a higher level of Cry4 cryptochromes in their eye at a certain point, and if the light is at certain intensities, that's when you see it. And the studies that I have read about says that the ambient and available light at the time has a lot to do with their ability to see the magnetic field lines. So that is another thing that I'll bring up initially that I think is interesting. The more and more we delve into the biology of not only the human, the anatomy of humans, but the anatomy and the biological aspects of certain species of animals, you learn more and more things about the world around you and what the possibilities are when it comes to sight, hearing, and other senses. So that's what's fascinating, and that's what's cool. And I think that hopefully I can find some interesting talking points when it comes to if pets are actually sensing something paranormal, because I believe that they can, but you just got to be as careful as you want to be when considering if you are experiencing a haunting. But here we go. Let's go over the girls. We're going to do some shout outs, and we're going to see if there's any questions or comments.
You want me first?
Sure, I don't care.
Okay, I've got, well, I had April McGuire. I don't know if she's still on. I've got Heather Elliott. I've got Chad Barr. I've got Becky Compton. I've got Derek Schreiner. I've got Sandy Griffin. And I've got Josh Bender. Yeah, Josh is there somewhere. And we are just talking about not anything interesting right now, our dog. And that they sell harnesses with GoPro adapt that you can put a GoPro on and see from the dog's point of view.
It'd be a good idea.
But are dogs colorblind?
I've heard that.
I read that somewhere.
I've heard that they see at different spectrums of light. So that would mean that they would see certain colors. Doesn't necessarily mean they're colorblind. It just means they don't see colors the way we do. They have different receptors in their retinas.
And Christy just jumped on.
Hi, Christy. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, everybody, on Facebook. By all means, ask me questions, spark a conversation, anything like that. Let's see what's going over there on YouTube.
We have Sam, Joe, Scotty, and Jen. That's commented so far. First question was, Scotty, what about animal spirits?
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very possible that they exist. If human spirits can, I think anything that's living can. That I can go deep down a rabbit hole of what can be a ghost, for lack of a better term. I believe that there's a lot of different types and a huge spectrum of conscious states when it comes to the lowest proto-conscious thing. It can exist in rocks and inanimate objects, and it exists in the highest, most complex life forms that we observe today, including ourselves. So I think that anything that has a proto-conscious or conscious state can potentially have a soul or a spirit, or cause something that we perceive as the paranormal, hauntings, ghosts, what have you. So if that's the case, definitely animals can have spirits and ghosts. My mom reports them to me, and what's interesting about that is she would come and visit. Oh, you have a dog on your couch. Oh, you have a cat running around. And we're like, okay. And then later on, Christy will be sitting on the couch. She'll feel something brush up against her, and then she'll hear scratching and walking behind the couch, and even the curtains move like there's a cat back there. So you have to wonder, what the hell is that, right? So, yeah.
So you mean to tell me that there could be ghost mice running around my house right now?
Yes.
I'm out.
Oh, gosh. No, you're not. You're not going anywhere.
No, I'm not, but...
Yeah, I mean, you have to leave that possibility, open in your head, right? Why would you close your off to that idea? A lot of people believe that animals don't have souls or spirits. I have no idea why. Maybe because culture and religious practices tell them that.
Yeah, that's what Joe said. That I guess Christians say that animals don't have souls. Scotty actually also said his best friend's dog visited him to comfort him when he was grieving alone at the house after he passed.
Yeah, I've heard many stories about that. And what's interesting to me is why people believe that humans have souls, animals don't, because their religion tells them. We live in a day and age that religion does not shape what we know and what we don't know anymore. And if it still does, you have to take a hard look at yourself. Here's why. There are lots of things that are in the Bible and other cultures and religious practices that are just not true. Okay? If you look at Genesis, you look at all the creation myths and creation stories, that crap is not true. That's not how our culture and our species began. Okay? It's just not. And the more and more we know about how it began, the less those texts and those beliefs just wane. The fight and resistance against that is, the brain wanting to hold on to their faith. And it may be blind faith. And I never advocate blind faith. I think you should be able to change your beliefs according to what we know and can prove using science. And that's why I'm a huge advocate of using science. Is it does not rely on faith. It does not rely on what you just believe personally. Not feelings, not anything. It's true whether you believe it or not. The flat earthers out there, they believe the world's flat. They have to be mentally handicapped to believe that. Okay? You have to be mentally handicapped to believe that. And I think that, that's a little bit different than religious practices telling you what you should and should not believe. I think a lot of people who go to church and have, a very devout faith in their religion, they tend to doubt certain things or have doubts or not completely believe everything literally said in the Bible or whatever religious text they go by. I think they kind of just hold on to certain things that really, mean or that are significant in those texts, and they kind of just, let that other stuff go. And it's interesting, definitely, how the brain works when it comes to belief systems. So that's basically what I have to say about that. Any other questions on YouTube?
I think the questions I think they're just in the group asking amongst each other. And if I'm wrong, repeat it and I will ask it. But I think they're just talking amongst them.
No.
Okay. Missy has some.
Okay.
Sandy Griffith said, every night my cat sits on the love seat and stares at my office door for at least an hour. Does that mean that he sees my sister's spirit? She passed away in that room.
That's a good question. If just because someone passes away in a room does not mean that there's her spirits in there, but it could mean that something could happen in there in theory. There's no proof that the place where people die is a recipe for a haunting or a spirit presence. Now, the brain speculates that all the time, okay? The cat staring in that area, why? Now, what's interesting is that it's staring at that room the same time every night, I guess, from what Missy just read. So that leaves me to think that whatever's happening is definitely a reoccurring event, and all paranormal phenomena is not reoccurring in rigidly time like that. So I would be inclined to believe that it's not sensing, unless there was a strange coincidence that it's staring at that location at the exact time the person died. Any other questions?
Nope, that's all I have.
I did want to... Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I do have one. Scotty wanted to know, aura photos, is that an idea for an investigation experiment, Justin?
Auras, I've never seen in photography that I couldn't explain. They're is full spectrum photography and other types of photography where you can add filters to the lens to black out certain types of spectrum of light and only allow other spectrums in. But I've taken a lot of photos, lots of them. Never seen any auras. I've had people tell me they've seen auras. I've actually seen auras myself, but I haven't in a very, very long time. To be perfectly honest, when I was seeing auras, I took a lot of psychedelics. And it could be because psychedelics make you hallucinate. Or it could mean that psychedelics opened up some part of my senses to allow me to see the auras. I cannot be sure about that. But when I got off of all that stuff, the auras stopped. So there has to be some kind of correlation there. It definitely involved drugs, the experimental use of drugs. But hey, I mean, if you want to experiment with seeing if you can photograph auras, by all means do it. But definitely let professional photographers see the photos to see if there's any normal explanations for the auras that are on the photographs. Are you laughing at me, Jess?
I would never.
Okay. Sure.
The comment that you made just reminded me of last night on the call, but that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. I was going to go back and read April McGuire's. She specifically wanted to watch this episode because it interests her. She said, "Definitely believe that they can see spirits around us. I have experienced seeing them react to spirits many times, pawing at things not there, chasing things that are not there, as well as dogs' hair standing up on the back of their necks. Also, I have experienced a ghost cat in the past as well. So weird." And April messaged me and asked me about that. And she's a Christian. I mean, both her and her husband are. And she grew up believing that, like many others, that animals don't have spirits. And that's crazy to me. But I believe if humans can have spirits, so can animals. I mean, that makes no sense to me. And the fact that people report ghosts that seem like they are small animals, like cats and dogs, is very fascinating. I've actually heard stories about dinosaur spirits. And I actually believe that most of all, if not completely all of Bigfoot sightings is the ghost of the Gigantopithecus, I think it's called, where there was a bipedal life form that looked just like a Bigfoot that used to be alive. And I think it's more feasible to believe that they're seeing the ghost of Gigantopithecus, I can't say it right, than they are actually seeing Bigfoot. But I could be wrong. But that's another theory that I think is interesting. Let's make sure that nobody else has any other questions before I proceed. Are we all clear?
No. Scotty was saying, I'm not going to try to pronounce this word, Kirlina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was saying about that's how special cameras.
He wants me to Google Kirlian photography. Okay, I will, because I've never heard of it. Wikipedia knows. Okay. Kirlian photography is a collection of photographic techniques used to capture the phenomena of electrical coronal discharges. It is named after Simeon Kirlian, who in 1939 accidentally discovered that if an object on a photographic plate is connected to a high voltage source, an image is produced on the photographic plate. The technique has been variously known as electrography or electrophotography, coronal discharge. So he's talking about coronal discharge, not auras. They are vastly different, in my opinion. You need high voltage electricity to be present, and that can be investigated. If you have high voltage electricity around you, you're going to know. And chances are, you're not going to be in good shape. So that would be my response to that.
Becky Compton said she said, I've seen auras without drugs.
A lot of people do. I think that auras can be seen without drugs because the drugs that we take are naturally produced in their body already. Okay, and let's talk about that for a moment. Since psilocybin from mushrooms and LSD and DMT, all those molecules are made by our body, and we just take drugs with those molecules in them or synthesized. Since we have receptors and since we have the anatomy and neurology to have an effect with those chemicals, they are already inside of us. So with that being said, people may have different varying degrees of those chemicals being produced by the body, and then allowing us to see those auras. Whether it be something significant or not, that is a good question. I think it's very possible that people can give off an aura and that it could be significant, it could mean something. But, there's no real science or research to tell us if that's the case. It's only faith and belief that we have at this point. And I think that there's some experiences that can give us a legitimate reason to have a belief in faith. And I don't want to take away from people's belief in faiths because I have my own for my own reasons. But I wish that there was more research done on it because I guess it would shed a lot more light on that because, like I said before Becky chimed in there's a lot of people that see auras. A lot of psychics and sensitives do. Anything else?
Chief One Paranormal said some people say entities die.
Okay.
I don't.
Oh, okay. They're saying that entities can die, like ghosts can die?
Yeah.
I wonder what that has to do with the topic. Kind of help me out there. You must have read something that they were talking about. It was out of context.
It was a random comment he made. And then he said, play Black Sabbath album on 78 speed.
Repeat that, please.
Play Black Sabbath album on 78 speed.
Okay. I've done that before, but I don't remember what the effect was. Okay. Missy or Jessica, were you going to say something? Jess, can you hear me? I don't think she can hear me. Missy, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. I don't think Jess can hear me. Is she froze?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yep, she disconnected. Let's see if we can get her back. We'll message her on Facebook here real quick and see if we can get her back. So, stand by. Okay.
You should have like a standby screen,
Well, I do, but we don't need it necessarily. Okay. Dear Jessica, what happened to you?
Yeah, that's not what you said. I have seen Lucky roaming through the hall here. Lucky. She's the dog we had before we got Onyx. She died in April.
Okay. Explain what you saw.
I was sitting at the table, and of course she loved food. So if you were eating, she was right there. She walked by me, and Onyx actually moved out of the way so that she could walk through there.
Interesting. So you seen it just like it was a solid thing?
Yeah.
Was there sound associated with seeing it?
No.
It's usually what I hear. They see it solid, but they don't hear anything. Kind of like Dan Allen saying that Sheriff Townsend came in. He didn't make a sound, but he's seen his fully manifested body. The conversation on YouTube, I think they're talking about spirits that are kind of living out their life, and they can, it's like it's alternate plane of reality. And
I'm back, Justin. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We're having a storm, high winds, and so I missed everything, and I'm going to try to catch up. Sorry about that.
We were just making fun of your bangs. It's okay.
No. Downtown Justin Brown. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, they're talking about kind of like entities on YouTube that live out lives like we do. Is that what you're reading?
No, because YouTube is, I don't know. It's my phone, my internet, and my laptop's working, but not on my phone right yet.
Okay.
I just see old stuff.
Did you remember a question that I didn't see?
No.
Okay.
Chief Flynn elaborated on what they said about the entities die.
Mm-hmm.
He said, like, the ghost sightings go back to the 1800s, so dinosaur ghosts died off.
Okay.
I don't know what that means either. I'm confused.
Let me see if I can go back and find his comment. Like, the ghost sightings go back to 1800, so dinosaurs' ghosts died off. Yeah, that's a little confusing to me, too. He says, I have acid reflux, and when I drop acid, good things happen. Not that kind of acid, buddy. Not that kind.
I wasn't going to read that comment. I was going to leave that one.
He only hopes that you read it so he can troll the show.
Right. Hey, I'll take his trolling.
Okay. All right. Let's reevaluate this topic here. What else can we say about spirits and pets and stuff like that? Okay. If your pet is sensing something spiritual, the best thing I can tell you to do, if you're not psychic or have an ability yourself, is to have a psychic or a medium come to your place or where their pet is experiencing them. Do not tell them about what the pet's picking up on. Don't tell them anything prior. Just say, hey, can you do a reading for me of my home? Have them come over. Have them tell you in as much detail as they can what they pick up on, where they pick up on it, and see if it correlates with the behavior of the animal. If that happens, then I say there's more supporting evidence that the cat or the dog or the pet is actually doing that. That you're doing further investigation, and if you're not experiencing anything at all, that might be a sign that your pet is just picking up on something just because it can hear things better and smell things better. And that seems like that's the case most of the time. I've had people, they're dead set on their dog is barking at the wall. It's acting all crazy. It'll stare at the wall and jump at it and scrape at it. It's probably there's probably a mouse in there that it's trying to get at or something like that. It's probably the case. Most of the time, pets would probably fear stuff. Like if a stranger walks into your home, what do your pets do? Cats usually, if they're skittish, they'll run underneath furniture or go hide. Now, if your pets are doing that, then that's a fear response, or that's a survival response. They're trying to protect themselves because they're afraid. They're primal senses tell them that they're constantly being hunted, right? So that's what they do. So if you're seeing them behave like that, that is strange. Just all of a sudden. What do dogs do? Dogs will just start barking like crazy. So that's one thing that is reported a lot. Sometimes dogs will just start barking like as if someone's there. If that's happening, definitely try to see if it's pests or rodents. Go outside, see if there's animals out there on the property or near the property within the range of the animal's detection. try to investigate it further. If you can't find anything, then I would say it's pretty safe to say that there's something definitely unknown going on. As far as it being paranormal, we don't know, and we shouldn't jump to that conclusion unless we have more supporting clues to suggest those things. And there could be, if you are experiencing this with your pets, please tell me what your individual situations are, and we may, if you would like, break it down and go through them and see if we can, iron out some of these situations. I see a lot of comments in there. Are we getting them charged up and talking and asking questions yet?
Who are you talking to?
Any of you.
Oh, I was having issues. I couldn't read nobody's comments. I didn't see any new ones. So I am back. Everything's working well on this side.
Yeah, I see your comments. So you're good.
Yeah, I had to get back in because the Deity's on and Nancy as well.
Thanks for joining us, guys. I see Sam Wings say, my dog and I went to that house that burned. It was 3:30 a.m. I saw the hair stand up on her back, and she stated growling. Maybe that's the wrong word. She was looking up at the ceiling. She was on guard the rest of the night. Okay, that's interesting. But if I think that house where she's talking about is definitely out in a wooded area, so there definitely could be something around that she couldn't see, but the dog could when that's living. Anything on Facebook? Derek Schreiner's got a question, Missy, if you want to read it.
He said, what are your thoughts on teams using animals of any kind to help conduct an investigation at a location?
Good question. It depends on what kind of investigator you are. If you're trying to be as objective as possible and sciencey as possible, it's just a bad idea. You cannot objectify, quantify what they pick up on. They can't tell you what they're picking up on. Anything that you would gather from the animal would be subjective and just not clear or understood. You could gather the information that there's definitely something there that you can't see, but it doesn't mean that it's paranormal, and it can lead you astray. There is another side to that. Now, let's just, a hypothetical situation would be, okay, the pets at a residence are acting in certain ways. You bring in an outside animal that's completely unknown and alien to the location to see if they react in the same way. You could do things like that, but just get it from that type of data point. Don't, jump to conclusions. That would be something along those lines would be fine. I'm trying to think what other good reason. If you're out Bigfoot hunting, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a really good dog with you. If you're outside, and especially in the area you're not familiar with, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a really good protective dog there with you. So for those reasons, I would think that it would be fine. They can alert you if something is in the area that you would want to know about. So that would be helpful. Dan Porter. Go ahead and read Dan Porter's.
He said, I have a video of a dog from Brushy follow us into the hole. As soon as we got into the room, he whined and ran out really fast.
Interesting. If you want, send me the video and we can take a look at it on the show. You can send it to me on the page that I'm streaming on. You can email it to me at justinbrown@interfacedeath.net. Any way you would like. If you want us to take a look at it, we'll take a look at it.
Jason Bland just jumped on too.
Hey, Jason. What's going on, buddy?
Heather said it's too much noise contamination having an animal near an investigation.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're going to make noise. Their footsteps, it's going to cause more footstep noise. Any whining or barking, panting, anything like that. It's going to add more or less control you have of the environment. So that's a very good point. That would go against why you should have an animal. But if they're well trained, if they sit and don't move and they're very well behaved, then you can control that. But if they're really rambunctious, running around, very hard to control, very good point.
Nancy said, I found many times over animals have always been in tune to what we are not. Sam,
hold on, I would ask her why she believes that, because there's got to be a reason.
well, there was another comment that she made prior to that it stated, I am a psychic medium and I live in what used to be a nursing home, and I have a little dog that comes and visits me all the time. First I felt him, and then I got to go to know where he was at. And here's another, it's from Sam. She wanted to know, kind of off topic, but what is the odds of her spirit still being at the location of the house that burned? She hasn't went back yet.
That's a good question. I couldn't tell you the odds. I could tell you that it's possible that they're still there where the location was, or it's possible that the spirit was tied to the location, the actual physical structure of it, and when it burnt, it dissipated or was, no longer. I couldn't tell you the odds. Don't have that data, sorry.
And I think that's it on YouTube for right now.
Chiefland Paranormal says they would like to see my videos posted on the show.
I think that's what he means.
All right. See if anybody sent me anything yet. I'll leave my page open on the blog page, and just in case, because I don't get the notifications normally if they're on the blog page. So comment if you have sent me something to make sure that we put it up, because that would definitely be interesting. I'll go ahead and check to make sure that it hasn't been sent yet.
He said, no, don't.
No, don't?
That's what he said.
Okay, I won't. I would love to see my videos posted. No! No.
Sounds like me, don't it?
Okay, that's pretty funny. All right. So yeah. It is interesting to me, psychic abilities and whether dogs can have them. I would be more inclined to believe that animals just have more psychic ability than humans. Their sense of smell. Okay, let's talk about sense of smell for a second. I had just recently learned that studies suggest that the receptors in the olfactory bulb in the brain that involve smell are like puzzle pieces, okay? You have a receptor, then you have a molecule. And it was initially believed that the molecule floated around in there until it found the receptor that it's shared the same shape, and it went in there. And they initially believed that is how you smelled something, and it smelled like something in particular. Now, there's evidence to suggest that the quantum vibrations in the molecule is what gives the signal to what we smell. If that is true, that would explain why certain molecules share similar smells and why we can smell things that are paranormal. And I've always been looking for science to tell me how we can smell things in a paranormal way. Excuse me. And that it would be it. So animals, especially dogs, have a really good sense of smell. So they can pick up on quantum vibrations of things that we can smell more than we would that's paranormal. So if there's a spirit there, they would give off, smell vibrations potentially. And they could be sensing the spirit that way. I would love to find supporting evidence of that. That would be crazy. Am I going to? Probably not. I would say no, because I don't have the equipment, the money to research those things, nor the education. Just not smart enough. But that would be completely awesome if somebody had a buku cash and was a genius. Please, by all means, research that because I think it's worth it. Go ahead.
Who, me? Well, I was just gonna kind of like what I've talked to you about before. Everybody knows my stepfather passed away, and he was cremated, and he had a dog, a pit, and when my mom brought the ashes back, he would just sit there and just stare at the urn.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, I mean, he's a very well trained dog. I mean, and he's very playful, but just for him to sit and I guess, just straight on staring. It's like my mom called me. She goes, what do you think? And it's like, I don't know, because there's new things going in and out of the house. So I don't think it's anything like that. But I mean, I can't say why he's doing that. So, but kind of like what you're saying, I mean, smell or, the spirit, I don't know.
Well, animals are smart. It could just know that that's the remains of the
Sure,
person.
absolutely. Very smart dog. Yeah.
So that would be my first explanation. Like that dog knows that's something significant because, the owner of the pet can definitely tell that there's something wrong. It's obvious, probably.
Oh, sure.
And it probably has connected it to the urn.
And actually, with my stepfather being in the hospital for 3 months, before he passed, the dog just got into that routine of him not here, but then I could see him on, video or talk to him and stuff like that. And he was okay until that urn showed up. And then my mom also said that he was just acting more, very depressed. Wouldn't sit in his same seat that he used to with my stepfather. Just completely acting, all in all, a different dog. Still a great dog and stuff like that, but just sensing just a lot of depression coming from him when the ashes got there.
Yeah. And I think the dogs and cats, probably not cats, but dogs are going to pick up on that going on in the house and it's going to affect them, and that doesn't mean that there's something paranormal or spiritual going on per se. They could just be like, there's obviously something wrong going on. They understand and perceive that, and they're just displaying that, hey, we know what's up. We're going to grieve along with you.
Sure. John G has joined and Eric Weiss.
Awesome. Better late to never, right? We got 10 minutes left.
They could have been in. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
You're fine. I've lived in a house Tom Miller asked this question. He said, I've lived in a house for 10 years now. The lady that lived here before me took her life and her cat's life. The house has been active for about 8 years now. My cat seems very scared at times in the middle of the night when he wakes me up and I have to go to the kitchen with him to eat. Could I have a ghost cat spirit as well?
It's possible. I would look for things that would indicate that. Things that cats would do, but you don't see a cat there. The sounds of a cat, the feeling of physical contact of cat, the cat getting in a fight with it, or the cat acting like it's seeing another cat and reacting to it. That's what I would be looking for. And if that's happened, then it's very possible. And it sounds crazy. It really does. But, I take what my mother says very, it's very important and significant when she says something, because she just doesn't say something to say something. I would love to know that, these people are just crazy. But that's just a coping mechanism. The stress that I receive because I think something is too outlandish to be real doesn't mean that it's not real. So if it sounds crazy, and I know if Jason Blaine's still watching, doesn't mean that it's crazy. Doesn't mean that it's not real. That's just an emotional response to something that's outside the norm. So,
well, he just gave you crazy, let's explain this to me.
Yes.
He wants you to explain it to him. He said, just had an investigator, Judy, who lost her sense of smell due to a brain tumor. Actually smelled something on our last investigation. Explain that. LOL.
I'm not a neuroscientist, so I can't. I did, we were talking about the sense of smell. I don't know if it's possible, but this would be something to think about. If something happens where it evokes a very strong memory, smell has a very strong memory imprint and pathways in the brain. That, if we smell something that made us sick 20 years ago, it could still make us feel nauseous. And that's how powerful it is. So if there was some cascade or triggering effect of a memory that happened that it was associated with a smell during that time, you can remember the smell as if you were smelling it by memory. So that could be possible. Now, I don't know why the brain would automatically restore your sense of smell and then take it back away. I don't think that's what happened, but I can't rule it out. Anything else going on there?
Oh, yeah.
I love these questions. They're interesting.
Heather asked, has anybody ever caught an EVP disembodied voice of an animal, like a cat meowing or a dog barking?
I have. One time. I was at this historical location right here in Hillsboro, Ohio, and we were the first team to go and investigate it. And we caught a dog whimpering and barking, and we absolutely did not hear it when we were recording. And it blew my brain. So yeah, I have, and it's very interesting. So why not? If we can hear all the other noises that happen, why not a dog?
And that's all I have for right now.
Tyler,
he said the whistle that only dogs can hear is another crazy question of mine. They can only hear it, but we can't. The pitch is so high. I think he wants to know why that is.
The range of human hearing falls from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz or 20 kilohertz on average. So that whistle is above 20,000 kilohertz, and we can actually Google the frequency of a dog whistle. What is the frequency of a dog whistle? And 23 to 54 kilohertz, so 23 to 54,000 hertz. So there's going to be a range, and that's obviously above 20,000 hertz. So there you go.
Jason said he also asked Judy if the smell had any meaning or what it was. And she said she didn't know. She didn't, and it smelled weird. She couldn't associate what it was.
Also, I'd want to know how long did it last and how long it persisted, where she was, what was happening. I would love to get all the information I could possible, because that is a fascinating claim. Send me all the info you could possibly get, and I could probably answer it better than I did.
Joe said, Eddie and I heard a cat in the kitchen at the Moreau house. Eric and I also heard a dog whimpering in the crawl space of the Moreau house.
Could it have been outside near the house? That would be what I would try to figure out.
Sure.
So I have not heard anything like that at the Monroe house. Hopefully this year we will be spending much more time there. I have not found that out yet. We will definitely be going back, but I just don't know to what extent yet. Yeah, there's been so many cases of people hearing animals that aren't there seemingly. And I just think that it's definitely possible for anything like that to be haunting a location or be there in spirit form. It could be residual. It could be, something that's stored in the environment, as stone tape theory suggests. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. it's definitely something that's just as fascinating as seeing, a ghost or spirit of a person. Seen Jen pop up there. Those rat things that deter rats sound so loud to me, but I can't hear dog whistles or other than air. Okay. I don't what frequency the rat thing. It's interesting. Do you want me to Google that too? Let's see here. We can do that. Rat sound. I don't know what to Google, but we'll try. Okay, sounds rats hate. Rat sound, rat trap 5 systems. Yeah, it looks like something, okay, here we go. Eternal, oh no, that's not the hertz, there we go. 22 hertz short throw to 19 hertz long throw. The usable frequency response is 40 hertz to 22,000 hertz, so you're definitely going to be hearing it. I guess it oscillates, according to what I'm reading. So there you
go. Truth also said could have been with the dog, but with the cat, no. Eddie has said that he has told me that he hears a cat in the house when there's no cat, but who knows?
My mom picked up on a cat at the Monroe house. I will throw that out there. So,
since your mom says it's true, we believe. But if you would have told us, we wouldn't believe you.
That's probably true. Well, what's funny is I used to doubt my mom all the time. I was like, "Mom, you're crazy. You're just it's your imagination." But then when I learned it's not, I'm like, right. Oh crap. Some other crazy shit you hear from people could be true too. So now you have to be open-minded. Now you have to say, okay, A, B. I don't know, but we're going to wrap it up here, guys. Thanks, Missy and Jess, for helping me out tonight. You were awesome. I'll talk to you here in a minute. You guys are great. Your fascination and interest in the topics that we bring on the show, are equal to mine. I feel that, we vibrate the same when we're, talking about things that are mysterious and fascinating. And I hope that when I do these shows, they kind of get you thinking in a different way or get you thinking more, opening your mind more and trying to join in on all the varying, ideas and thoughts out there that exist and incorporating them with your own. So if that's happening, it's working. So thank you for joining me tonight and every other night that you pop in. The patrons are what makes this content possible. Again, this is a huge part of the show at the end. Clay Borman, RJ Murphy, Scotty Fox, Casey Schreiner, Jessica Bias, Bill Davis, Joe Vitale, Heather Elliott. They are making this stuff free for you guys. I mean, we are multi-streaming. We could be moving to another paid service to help for the video conferencing. I'm thinking about purchasing Zoom. It's a monthly subscription too. So we may transition from Google Hangouts to Zoom in the very near future. So if you want to see that aspect of our shows get better, definitely check out Patreon. You get rewards and special access and exclusive content. There's a Facebook group that's exclusive to Patreon supporters. And hopefully in 2019, we come up with even better stuff to reward you folks for what you donate on Patreon. So thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm going to leave it there. You guys are great. I love you guys. Tomorrow, I'm going to be honest. I looked at my calendar for the Necromancer live show, and I read a name that I don't know. Christy Matthews. So I'm like, okay. I looked through my messenger. No Christy Matthews. I looked through all 4 of my email addresses. No Christy Matthews. I looked through every messenger and every platform on social media, YouTube, and even on my phone. know Christy Matthews. So if you know Christy Matthews, let me know, because I was supposed to interview her, but I can't get a hold of her. I don't know who she is. I schedule months in advance. So we're probably going to be doing something special and different tomorrow because I don't have a guest. I can't get her on. So we might be doing something different on Necromancer tomorrow. It may be longer, it may be not, but stay tuned for that at 8 p.m. We're going to have something for you folks. So sorry for that in advance. I'm going to get out of here. If you're new and haven't seen the video promotions at the end, stick around and check them out. I'll see you guys next time.
Effects of prolonged isolation, paranoia, depression, helplessness, brain stimuli decreases. Now what happens when you put a man isolated in 3 paranormal infested buildings for 3 nights in each location, all by himself? No one to help me. No one to protect me. Just me versus you. Does paranormal activity increase?
So what do you think of this piece of evidence?
I think by far it's the best piece of evidence we have seen here.
That's flat out amazing. And that's something we've never captured.
Oh, wow.
What?
First
Nobody has
time.
ever got it on video.
That's creepy.
In 11 years.
So no one's ever caught this on video?
Never.
Ever.
Here is my story, and here is what I went through for my research into the paranormal. Push the door, please.